Lubbock County Commissioners are set to discuss even more regulations for game rooms in our area. Now, you might remember our investigative series surrounding game rooms and their regulation. Lubbock County Commissioners first approved the ordinance back in 2024. It restricted the number of game room permits the county could issue. The measure also required the rooms to stay outside of a certain distance from neighborhoods, schools, churches, and limited their hours of operation, along with requiring background checks on owners and employees and ensuring proper security would be on site.
My goal through all this was to make sure that we got to a place where we're going to make it hard for these folks to operate in Lubbock County. I did not want to see any game rooms at all, but the law says that we have to have some sort of an ordinance. So that's what we passed today.
That was back in 2024, as you saw. Commissioners will now discuss amendments to the ordinance, which would go into effect tomorrow. Some of the amendments offer clarification to existing rules, while others add new ones altogether. For example, one clarifies that a permit cannot be transferred or divided. If ownership of a room changes, the room will be deemed unpermitted, and the new owner must reapply. Another amendment relates to game room hearings. It specifies that any hearings related to the permit will be conducted by the Game Room Hearing Board, which will consist of Lubbock County residents assigned by each commissioner, the county judge, the sheriff, and the tax assessor collector. Board members cannot have any association with the game rooms or the properties. Another proposed change reworks the civil penalties for game rooms that violate the ordinance. In addition to the DA's ability to sue for an injunction against a game room, the proposal also adds a civil penalty of up to $10,000 per violation. It also says the county is entitled to recover reasonable expenses incurred while obtaining that injunctive relief and civil penalties, including any court costs. Now, the changes, aren't anything major. They're just hoping that it keeps the game rooms compliant with the rules and responsible. The district attorney's office tells us the rules already put in place are helping alleviate some of the crime and the issues that the rooms bring.
We had a very positive response from the game room operators. Many of them have indicated to us that they want to run an above board legal operation, and we hope that that improves their business as well by containing some of that negative element that has not been regulated up to this point in time.
The Lubbock County Commissioners will discuss the amendments tomorrow morning.